Hello, everyone. I know this is a weird video idea, and you may think that I'm running out of video ideas, and before you say anything about that, I would like to say that you are correct. But anyways, welcome back to another video where I talk about levels and see whether or not I like them. And today's video topic is about levels that would date each other, or more specifically, levels that I ship each other with. What I mean by this is that when there's two levels that share some sort of relation to each other, that they seem kind of perfect for each other as some sort of lovers. Now, is there another way I could have titled this? Maybe, but as a person that has been in many fandoms where shipping is a big part for most fandoms, I thought it'd be fun to do this in Geometry Dash as well. And since I don't feel comfortable shipping real people, and there are like 4 actual characters in Geometry Dash, might as well do it with levels. Oh, and we're also gonna see which level is better and what kind of romance trope they fit in. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's start the video starting with... Let's start with one that is probably known by most people, Zodiac and Kenos. Let's talk about the levels first. Zodiac is a mega collab made by Rico LP and more. The decoration mostly has this sort of early to mid 2.1 aesthetic, which I actually kind of miss now because it has a lot of charm to it, to a point where I'd say that it's kind of adorable in a way. Kenos is a remake of Sakupen Hell that follows in the same path of Bloodlust by not only redecorating the parts, but also adding an extension to it. I'm not a huge fan of how Kenos is decorated, but I do think it's still pretty cool looking in some parts. Now, you may look at these two levels and think, there's no correlation to each other, these feel like two different levels picked randomly in the demon list. How can they be lovers? Well, we actually have to look at their demon list history because for the longest time, their asses have been next to each other like they're inseparable. I am not kidding, you can go to the Pointer Crate demon list, go to the time machine they have, pick a random date, and you'll see that they're still together. And then pick another random date, far more different than the date you choose, and you still see their asses together. The only time they were separated was when Esfera came in to just ruin the fun Zodiac and Kenos had, but thankfully that was not long-lived. Hell, Zodiac and Kenos are still next to each other in the demon list today, like, damn dog, relax, ain't nobody taking it from you. I think the romance trope this fits into is soulmates. The fact that they're next to each other in the demon list to this day is telling me that in a way they're sort of made for each other and they're inseparable. And also maybe in a way they're also opposites attract due to how vastly different they are in terms of decoration and theming, where they really contrast with each other when you put them next to each other. With that out of the way, which one do I think is a better level? I think I like Zodiac a bit more than Kenos, honestly. They both have this sort of early to mid 2.1 decoration, but Zodiac just has some sort of charm to it where I just really liked how it looks, even though it's debatably aged worse than Kenos in a way. But I don't know, Zodiac just looks adorable to me, I love it so much. While I don't dislike Kenos, I'm just really tired of Hell levels, honestly. I know this is a thought shared by many people, but it's for a reason. Hell levels are mostly the same, red with black, and it doesn't help that Kenos also falls into that category. Don't get me wrong, I think it still looks cool in some parts, but I just wish there was a bit more coloration in the level, like maybe add a bit of orange and yellow, but overall I think Kenos looks a bit monochrome. But yeah, Zodiac and Kenos would probably date each other due to them being next to each other in the demon list for the longest time. These two levels are just really funny, especially with their history that I feel like that they'd be perfect for each other and cause chaos for other people. But let's talk about Super Probably level first. Super Probably level is a memory extreme that was made by Alkali that was made to essentially to make Alkali try and make a level that's outside of his comfort zone. And as a result, he made Super Probably level, a memory level with a very vibrant color scheme inspired by Totally Legit level. Now, if it were just that, I would probably dismiss this as a pretty cool albeit goofy memory level that has a lot of charm to it, and you'll probably be confused why I paired Super Probably level with Congregation. Let me tell you the messy placement history of Super Probably level. People were very divided on where Super Probably Level was placed on the demon list when it first came out, because everyone would shift back and forth between it being harder than it looks or easy as hell. Now, it didn't start off that way. It acted like any other extreme demons where down the line the placement of the level will go down as people's skill went up and new levels are being added. But then one day, it was moved up by 12 spots. Which, okay, it's not too crazy. I mean, we all make mistakes and people have different opinions, and look, it went down again, so how bad will it be? It went up again by 15 places and is considered 30 places harder than the level that was once considered harder than Super Probably Level. Then it went down again, went up 12 places again, and this became a reoccurring trend for Super Probably Level, with the highest change being going up by 23 places. The reason for this is probably because of the level being just really confusing and memory, so a lot of people have different experiences, which led to Super Probably Level have this constant change on the placement in the demon list. But thankfully this all died down and will probably never happen to another level again. But wait, Congregation came in. Congregation is a 3.5 minute atmospheric extreme that relies heavily on nerve control, slight memory, and timings. So with such a specific skill set like that, you can probably guess that it shares the same fate as Super Probably Level. It went up 17 spots, went down, went up again, you get the point. So with that, I feel like Super Probably Level and Congregation will pair up pretty well with each other, and together they team up and cause havoc to the people around them. Now I actually don't know what romance trope they would fit in, because I thought Troublemakers was a romance trope, but from my research of looking at one website, it doesn't seem like it. So I guess the closest thing is friends to lovers, because they would be friends by being similar to each other in terms of what they cause to the demon list, and eventually they'll share this mutual feeling for each other. And what am I saying, bro? I'm talking about levels making love and stuff. But in terms of the levels itself, again, I think opposites attract would fit Congregation and Super Probability Level due to how vastly different they are. Now, about which level is better, I think Super Probability Level takes the cake for this one. While I love Congregation's atmospheric approach, Super Probability Level is just so much fun to look at with its colors and goofiness. Like, I feel like I can't hate the level. It just has this effect on me to just love it regardless of what anyone says. While Congregation isn't bad, hell, I think it's amazing. There are some things that kind of rub me the wrong way, like I feel like the drop could feel a lot more impactful. But other than that, I think Super Probability Level would pair well with Congregation as lovers. This one's a weird one. Well, okay, every single one is a weird one, but let me explain. Let's talk about the levels first. Tartarus is a 1.9 stealth hell extreme demon hosted by Riot, originally called Silent Akbar, meant to be the hardest level at the time, which succeeded as it was top 1 after it was verified. The Golden is somewhat of a remake of El Dorado, hosted by Bo and Electro, themed after the Golden Temple, but despite that, people are still confused on why it's not called the Green. Now, if you know anything about the history of Tartarus and the Golden, you would know that there was a bit of a debate on whether or not the Golden is harder than Tartarus or vice versa. Now, hearing this, you might be confused on how they would be lovers, since from that description, it seems like they would more fit to be rivals or enemies, since it sounds like they were competing for the top spot. Let me tell you about the wonderful trope of enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers is a trope where the characters once started as enemies but eventually developed feelings for each other. And I feel as though Tartarus and the Golden would fit in this category, since the whole situation seemed like there was some sort of rivalry between them at first, but through time they've come to an agreement and eventually agree that Tartarus is the harder level. Now, why did I choose Tartarus and the Golden specifically instead of something like Bloodlust and Plasma Pulse Finale, where there was also some sort of debate on which one's harder? Well, one, despite Bloodlust and Plasma Pulse Finale being debated on which one was harder, their placement was way off, with Plasma Pulse Finale falling off the legacy list, and Bloodlust is still extended in 140. Oh my god, Bloodlust is almost going to legacy list. But in the case of Tartarus and the Golden, they're still pretty close with each other, being only 5 spots apart. And 2, I'm pretty sure the whole sentiment of Plasma Pulse Finale being harder than Bloodlust is just something that N-Level made up to just cause havoc in the Geometry Dash community. while Tartarus and The Golden has some actual debate from the community on which one's harder. So that's why I think The Golden and Tartarus are perfect for each other for a sort of enemies to lover story. Now with all of that being said, which one's the better level? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but Tartarus clears. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like over time I grew to dislike The Golden more and more. Not to a point where I'd say I downright hate The Golden. I just feel like there's a lot of missed potential in The Golden, like the whole jungle theming is not really expanded in the level as a whole, and the goat temple is only really shown in the end screen. Tartarus, for what it is and how it's decorated, is pretty cool. Now arguably some parts, to me at least, didn't age that well, like some of the glow usage I think looks a bit odd nowadays, but for being a 1.9 level that's not actually made in 1.9 but still follow its restrictions, it looks pretty solid. The decoration is nice, the structuring is pretty cool, the atmosphere is pretty well executed. But yeah, The Golden and Tartarus would fall in love after being enemies. This one's interesting. I do want to say that this is the first time in this channel's history where official levels are mentioned, if you don't count V mentioning Geometrical Dominator. But anyways, why do I ship these two levels together? Well, let's talk about Electrodynamix and its situation with its difficulty. Most of you probably know this, but Electrodynamix officially is rated insane in geometry. That I almost said canonically, oh my god. However, a lot of people disagree with this rating, saying that Electrodynamix should instead be a demon instead of insane, due to how hectic the level is and the high intense speed the level has makes the level much more difficult than the intended difficulty. And I actually kind of agree with this. The level doesn't slow down like at all, and I can see why a lot of people got caught off guard by this level due to how intense the level is in nature. Do I think it's harder than something like Clubstep? No, I think Clubstep has a slight edge when it comes to difficulty, but I wouldn't argue that Electrodynamix should have been re-rated to Demon. That being said, I also understand on why Robtop kept it as insane, because he wants to introduce to people the speed changes, and doing it in a demon is not really a way to go since the demons in the official levels are locked. However, hot take, I don't think having an official demon that's not locked hurts now, since demons are a lot more accessible nowadays and you won't need like 10 or 20 secret coins to just play demons in general. But with that being said, you know what other level is considered to be the hardest, but this time it's more so being said as a joke and it's clearly ironic? Back on Track. Yes, I'm bringing up the classic Back on Track is the hardest level ever joke. This joke just kind of came out of nowhere when Sobrush just called Back on Track an impossible demon, just out of nowhere without any context. But the community just ran with it. We really thought that this was the peak of comedy, calling Back on Track the hardest demon ever. To be fair, it is. Now with that being said, I think this dynamic between Electrodynamix and Back on Track is interesting. Electrodynamix will be the rising star that strives to be the hardest of the official levels, but just couldn't seem to reach that possibility. Now Back on Track has a huge crush on Electrodynamix, right? So Back on Track pretends to be this big shot that conquers all the levels, sort of like a fake it till you make it type of deal. That was until Electrodynamix finds out Back on Track's true identity, but it doesn't matter because Electrodynamix likes Back on Track no matter what. Man, what am I doing here? I should be writing fanfictions instead. I think this romance trope fits into the secret identity type of thing, kind of like how Superman and Lois Lane has this sort of relationship for a while, with Back on Track pretending to be a big shot but in reality it's just a beginner. Now for which level is better? I don't know, what do you think? And so those are levels that I think would date each other. Well, that's the end of the video. Did you agree or disagree with my picks? Maybe there's a level that you think deserves to be in this video. Let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll put it in a sequel if I ever make one. If you guys even want one. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since I'm trying to hit 4K. Oh, and if you want to support me even further, you can buy a commission from me down at VGen, where you can commission a headshot, half body, full body, or a thumbnail. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.